there? What do you say?
Do you want me to chime in?
No.
I'll chime.
That's your guy, Danny Green.
Actually,
You like Danny
Not
Green.
my
No,
guy.
you
I
got
like
this.
him personally, but he was only included in that trade because he's the one guy number 2 will listen to. He's like his big brother and sometimes his valet.
I actually, guys, I want Chris Broussard to chime in here. Good to have you
Well,
with
certainly,
us.
thank you. I'm missing all those emotional celebrations we used to get from Kawhi.
All those emotions, right? We
After
always
buckets.
see.
No, look, he wasn't himself, whether it's injury or whatever, but he still played a strong game.
Yeah.
He shot almost 50%.
That's a good point. You
Right.
finally made a good one.
He played a strong
Yeah.
The 7 rebounds, the 4 steals, the
4
2
steals.
blocks.
Yeah. How could he do that?
14
How
of
is
his
that
19
possible?
points in
It's
the
a
second
miracle.
half.
It's
All
a
right,
miracle.
Skip.
And Skip the defense.
Oh, the defense, it's miraculous.
Got him locked up.
He's guarding the MVP.
Yeah.
And
Guarding.
he held him to 3 of 7 shooting
Yep.
yesterday. So Kawhi played a solid game, not what we've come to expect from him throughout these playoffs. Obviously, it was the bench that played well, and
The
Marc
bench?
Gasol even played well. But Kawhi's plus minus was plus 16. So their bench was unlocked, though. Norman Leonard, they hadn't been getting anything. Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, and Ibaka. They hadn't been getting anything from VanVleet.
Did you
And
look at their plus minuses?
Powell's played well. Yeah, the bench came on.
24, 29, 25?
Hopefully
Plus,
for
plus, plus.
Toronto, this will, unlock their bench. I picked Milwaukee, but if you're a Toronto fan, you got to be hoping that now their bench is going to get going because they've been terrible throughout the series for the most part. Here's my biggest concern with Kawhi if I'm a Raptors fan or just a basketball fan, is his body breaking down. Like, he's playing more minutes than he's used to. We know in San Antonio, he didn't play as many minutes. We know that
He played 9
really
games in 1 year. Go ahead.
Well, but they sit you out. They sit you out games, and
Yep.
I know he rested 22 games this year, but 52 minutes in game, 1 of this series, 4 games or 40
Game
or
three,
minutes
the
or more, game
double
3.
overtime.
4 games or 40 or more minutes in the previous series with Philadelphia. Now, he had some
The
minutes.
Playoffs, it's
No,
almost
I'm
over.
My point is this.
His body.
For all his toughness, I think physically and mentally, his body may be breaking down on him.
Okay.
That would be my concern. I mean,
It's
we
been
get
breaking
it.
down for 7 years.
Well, okay.
It has.
Okay, well, it's finally reaching its breaking point.
That's what I'm wondering. And I'm not predicting that. I'm not saying that's definitely happening. But that would be my concern if I'm Toronto. Is his body breaking down on him? Danny Green said we need him for 2 more games, 2 more wins. No. You need him for 6 more wins.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe, 11 more or 10 more games.
Maybe.
How about 10 more years? You better hold
Right,
it inside.
right.
Go ahead, Skip. You chomp it down.
I want to hear
No,
what you
I
have
don't
to
want
say.
I don't want to talk. Go ahead.
When have you ever said that?
No, you just anxious to go. You want to refute everything Chris said. So go right.
I mean, the bench was great. If you're going to jump on him because he finally got help, that's what he needs help.
Excuse me. I have been trying to tell this man he has more help than Giannis does. I still like this roster and his supporting cast better than Giannis's. And I think you called him yesterday on the fact that he said that Milwaukee had the best supporting cast in basketball, right? Okay.
But they play more consistent than Toronto's.
Toronto, Skip, look, the supporting casts are very comparable.
Yes.
The one thing is Milwaukee's do a specific thing. They shoot threes.
And the difference
That's what
is
they do.
Toronto's has so much more playoff experience, so much more star power because Kyle Lowry's 5 times an all-star. So he had a 30-point game, and then last night he had a 25-point game, and he made all 10 of his free throws. Marc Gasol has been through the playoff wars with San Antonio in Western Conference Finals. So he's done all that. And he's got such a high basketball IQ. He's become their point center. The offense is now revolving around him. He's led them 2 straight games at home in assists with 7 last night. I think he had 7 in game 3. And you don't think Ibaka's been around and done this before? He killed my Spurs once. It was long ago, but he's been doing this for a long time, for 17 and 13. He's capable of that. To your points, sometimes they disappear. Sometimes they come and go. VanVleet was having a second child, but he went home and the baby.
No, his wife was having a second child. He wasn't pregnant.
Well, I'm just saying,
he was
they
playing
were
like he was
having
pregnant.
it.
It's on his mind.
Okay? It was definitely on his mind. And then last night, it looked like he played more free.
Yeah.
And again, I've seen him play big.
No, he's
He's a closer for this team.
Yeah.
You know, I trust him in the fourth quarter with the ball in his hand. Now, number two, the reason this is wearing me out is it's making me relive my worst nightmare because I'm seeing it all unfold right before my very eyes. This is San Antonio all over again. Unfortunately, this is playing out in the playoffs for his new team, Toronto. Did the Toronto medical staff find anything wrong enough somewhere in his body? Because I don't know what's wrong with him, but did they find anything wrong enough to put it on the injury report ahead of Game 4?
No.
No. He was not on the injury report. What did Nick Nurse say? I don't think he's hurt. I think he's okay. He's just tired, okay? So what happened last night with 7:23 left in the fourth quarter? The Toronto Raptors were up 16 points at home. 7:23 left. And Nick Nurse reinserted number 2 into the game. If he's hurt, why on earth would you even think about putting him back in that game? And if, as Charles Barkley said at halftime, he's just run out of gas, why on earth would you think of putting him back in the game? Because Nick Nurse does not believe he's hurt and does not believe he's worn out. He just thinks he needs to play through all this, whatever mysterious ailments that he has. But right away last night, he's dunking and he's limping. And then he keeps dunking and he keeps limping. And he keeps exploding and lifting and dunking and limping. But the TNT guys they've hopped on the new runaway bandwagon of poor number 2, except they use his name. And I'm not going to use his name because he doesn't deserve it.
Well, if he gets to the finals, you got to call him
I'm not going to call him anything. I'm going to call him some other name.
They get to the finals.
Yeah. But here we go again, because I'm going to remind everybody, the most conservative, player-friendly medical staff in all of sports, San Antonio's, cleared him in January. We find nothing wrong with his thigh. He has a thigh bruise, but it's healed. No, he says, I can't go. And he sits the whole rest of the year until Ginobili and Parker call a team meeting and call him out and said, come on, we got a good chance here to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Without me.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what he said, and that was the final nail. And here's my final point about that guy. He is mentally and physically fragile. And last year was the first year that Greg Popovich said, you know what, this is going to be your team. We tried to make it LaMarcus's team the year before, and it didn't work. It's your turn. Ginobili aging, Parker aging, it's your turn to take this team over. And he crumbled under the pressure and the spotlight to be that guy in that town where the Spurs rule. And he said, I went out because he wanted out from under the pressure. So what did he do in games 3 and 4? It hits him, oh my God, this is pressure like I've never felt before, because these are do-or-die games at home and the whole world is watching me. So what did he do? Right away, game 3, he dunks and he limps. That was his left, whatever it is. I don't know, it's quad, knee, calf, nobody knows, tendinosis, whatever it is. And then in the fourth quarter, he dunks and he starts limping on his right leg. Did he forget which leg was supposed to be hurt, or both of them hurt? I have no idea. If he were hurt like Kevin Durant is hurt, he'd be on the injury report.
Well, whatever, Skip, baby.
Let me just say this, Shannon. If you're right about Kawhi, like if he doesn't want that pressure, even subconsciously, he should go to the Lakers.
Okay.
I mean, let LeBron carry that. I'm not saying you are right. I'm just saying if he doesn't want, if he couldn't handle, you mentioned when I predicted he would be MVP, it was his team.
You know what? You did going in, and I didn't disagree. Yeah,
I'm just saying and I'm not saying I agree with you, but if you're right, and maybe we'll see over these next few games, then he should just go play with LeBron.
Okay, that's fine. Although it can be really hard to be LeBron's co-star, right?
But LeBron will take a lot of the, pressure off.
Take a lot of the arrows.
I don't doubt this guy's talent. I never have. He's supremely gifted. I doubt his basketball backbone.
Well,
that's what I doubt.
I thought Greg Popovich's judgment that he thought LaMarcus Aldridge could be a leader, considering that he voted Portland because, guess what, Dame Lillard had taken over.
All right, you could be right, but he was the prize of that whole free agent summer. Yes. And I was shocked that they landed him.
Yep.
Okay.
Because he didn't want that pressure.
Okay, but anyway, you're right. You were right.
But here's the thing, Skip. But when you look at this, it's hard for me to believe that this guy's going to start the game limping like that if nothing's wrong with it.
I agree.
It's hard for me to believe that.
I believe it.
I don't believe the weight. Skip, the guy's been a Finals MVP. He's 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's been in pressurized situations.
He was able to shine in the spotlight.
And
in the shadows.
And he shined the brightest in that Finals
Duncan, Ginobili, Parker.
And he was the MVP over all three of them.
Yeah.
Duncan, Ginobili, that law firm of Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, it was the understudy.
Yeah, and before those games, nobody expected the understudy to do much of anything except be out there with the three big guys.
Skip, but see, the thing is that when you play 52 minutes and you got to give us what you give us on the offensive end, and then you got to shut down Giannis, who's going to be the MVP. Nobody's carrying that workload. That's LeBron-esque in his prime, carrying a workload of 50-plus minutes. And I got to guard Giannis and did a great job on him, too. Had him up in Pelican Bay.
Did he?
So I'm going to let you out for game 4.
Really?
But it's going to be too late. Yes.
25 and 10, not bad. Yeah.
And what did he do when my guy went in? With old Claw, old Baron Von Raschke.
5 for 19.
What did he do when my guy get on him?
11
Four
points.
man's LeBron.
They'll do that. See, there you go, Skip. This is what if you think you that guy offensively, all I'm gonna do is send on Kawhi with a Kawhi. Shut that down. Ask Ben Simmons what he do. Ask Jimmy Buckets what he do. You think you like that? Don't make me go call him. Kawhi.
What Kawhi's learning is what LeBron had to learn. You need help. No matter how good you are, you need help. He always had help in San Antonio. And here, last night, you need to be able to have, again, 19-7-4 still not a bad game. But you need to be able to have some of those throughout a long playoff run if you're going to win a
17
championship.
points from Ibaka, 18 from Powell, 13 from Van Fleet, got 17 from Gasol, 25 from Kyle Lowry. Everybody's aggressive. When you know Norman Powell to take 18 shots, 13 from the 3.
Because he was needed.
That's my point.
And he's played well.
That's what I'm talking about, Skip Bayless.
Okay, well, what I'm talking about is 19-7-4 is actually an indictment of that guy because he looked just fine.
No, he didn't look fine to me.
He looked explosive. I saw lift. I saw the usual number 2.
No, Skip, I heard this thing. When a guy is 6'7", 6'8", yeah, he can dunk the ball.
Easy.
But that ain't it Kawhi.
He did dunk on Giannis.
Yeah, you got it, too.
I don't know how it was a miracle.
It wasn't no miracle. Stop it. You know what? See, you just go overboard.
That's a serious indictment you're saying, Skip. That this guy is faking an injury.
I am seriously indicting. And Nick Nurse backed me up by putting him back in the game.
Nick Nurse, hold on. Head coach Nick Nurse or RN Nick Nurse? His last name is Nurse. He's not a real nurse. He's not qualified to diagnose. He just worried about...
Neither is a nurse.
Skip, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I'm not ashamed. I've been watching this nightmare for 7 years. It's all coming true again. I've been right, and I've been right again.
He's having some deja vu.
He might be.
So you don't have them winning the series for sure.
I picked Milwaukee in 7 just because they got 7 at home. Simple as that. But I have respect for his game and especially for his supporting cast. And it was on display.
Finally.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.